east coast of the United States, the capital city, Columbia, South Carolina. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera, and I welcome you all, wherever it is you may be, around the globe, in the chat room, wherever you are, folks. It's Friday night, and I want to give a shout out to our radio affiliates quick, the Dark Matter Radio Network. Hello to all of you. K98 Talk and High Point Radio, the top of New Jersey, covering New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania on 100.5 FM, 1700 AM. The website's latenightinthemidlands.com. Go on over, become a member, and be informed. You can also get to it by going to lnmradionetwork.com. So either one of those will cross you right into our website. So we got an interesting show tonight, I think. We've got two guests who will be joining us. Jackie Barrett has been with us in the past once. She's going to be rejoining us. She is a psychic medium, an author, and we'll be talking with her. We'll also be talking with Dr. Frank A. Batto. I think I'm getting this right. Probably not, but I think I am. He'll be joining as well. He's got a book on the way. It's not out yet, but he's got some paranormal experience to share with us tonight. And so we'll get into that after the break. The call-in number is 803-317-2264. Now, when I had first came along into the chat room tonight, after I got there, a few minutes later, a conversation got going about Disney. And, I went to Disney once, and I'm going to tell you a story that I don't think I've ever shared this one before. And, I'm not proud of it, but myself and a couple friends decided we were in Florida, and we were, going through the entire state. We wanted to see everything we could. I was 17 at the time. And they decided, and I went along with them. I mean, I'm not an amusement park kind of guy. I don't ride rides. You won't catch me on the roller coasters or on these swings or any of that stuff. I don't do it. All right. So I went along this time. I said, sure, I'll go, just to say I've been there. And while we were there, at the time I wasn't into symbolism and all that stuff, so none of that mattered to me at the time. But while I was there, being 17, you know how relationships go at that age. Well, mine wasn't doing too well at the time, and I was on the payphone with a friend of mine back in New York, and I was being told that my other half was not being so kind, I guess, if you will. And during this phone call, Mickey Mouse was behind me, and he wouldn't stop with his, "Hi, I'm Mickey Mouse," and doing all this stuff and tapping me. And I've told him twice, chill out, I'm on the phone. And I guess, see, what I didn't know that he was also entertaining kids on the other side of me. But anyways, he did it again, and I turned around and I actually punched Mickey Mouse in the nose as hard as I could. His little mask, little head there, the nose went inside out. And, that was my last day in Disney. I was escorted out and told that I was lucky I wasn't thrown in jail for assaulting Mickey Mouse. So there you go. See, I haven't always been a nice guy. There was a time when I'd knock Mickey Mouse on his backside. All right. So anyways, we're going to get into some paranormal tonight, and I've got a little news I want to get into beforehand. Scientists create first ever lab-grown limb. Yep, lab-grown limb. The possibility of growing replacement limbs for amputees is now one step closer to becoming a reality. A great deal of progress has been made in recent years, they say, in the development of artificial legs, bionic hands, and even brain control interfaces that can enable someone to move a robotic arm using nothing more than the power of their own mind. The ultimate solution, however, one with the potential to completely restore an amputee's missing limb, is to use their own cells to grow an entirely new one that will function exactly as the original did. Well, while this may sound like it's something out of science fiction, which a lot of the stuff we talk about here sometimes sounds like it came right out of science fiction, but a movie, if you will. But scientists recently announced that they'd succeeded for the first time in growing an actual rat limb in a laboratory. These rats are so lucky. I mean, they give them cancer, they give them, well, they do that to us too, don't they? They give them tumors. They kind of do that to us too, don't they? And they cut off their limbs so they could try to grow new ones. Oh, well, they kind of do that to us too, right? I mean, they send our young men and women off to, wars. So I guess it's pretty similar, isn't it? Our vast plasma tubes floating above us. We were talking about plasma. Well, we've talked about it a couple times this week. The Earth appears to be surrounded by giant invisible tubes of plasma that fill the sky above our heads. The idea, which has been a topic of controversy and debate among scientists for decades, well, it might on the onset sound utterly preposterous, but now thanks to research efforts of a graduate student from Australia, the existence of this phenomena has actually been proven correct. That's right, so it's now been proven. This is linked up under News and Discoveries. They say for 60 years, scientists believed these structures existed, but by imaging them for the first time, we've provided visual evidence, they say, that they are really there. So the plasma is all around us. We are the plasma. Army fails to warn residents before urban warfare explosions. All of a sudden, boom, one witness says. They say yet another location is erupting into urban army exercises ahead of the nationwide Jade Helm drills that have many concerned about martial law and the true intentions of these mock takeovers of U.S. cities across the map. This time, it was unexpected, simulated explosions that rattled residents in a neighborhood of Flint, Michigan, after the U.S. Army initiated training without warning the locals, despite the fact that the drills, which will last until June 12th, had been planned for 6 months. Telling you, folks. It's on. It's on like a pot of neck bones. And the Russians, they just got through testing some missile that can carry 10 nuclear warheads in one shot. They ain't testing this stuff for no reason. Folks, I guess the best way to say it is they look at us, we are the roaches to them. And they're getting ready to fumigate their kitchen. Anyways, that's linked up under News and Discovery on latenightinthemidlands.com. And a lot of times you'll find what I'm talking about, too, right on the homepage down below. There's about 6 articles that show up down there, so you could get to them that way as well. And that's about what I put up a day, 6 to 8, depending. Beijing calls reports of China being involved in the U.S. hack. They say it's irresponsible. Well, look, there's this cyber war going on between these different countries, the United States, China, Russia, North Korea, all of them. And I'm telling you, eventually what's going to happen is we're going to lose our internet, or our power grid's going to go down. It's going to be blamed on another country. They're going to do it to themselves and blame it on another country, or we're going to do it to each other, however they do it. And, a lot of you are going to be waiting for Fox News and CNN to give you the facts, and, you're going to see blue helmets. It's coming. They're preparing. I mean, look at all this stuff going on. Come on. And I seen a report that a former colleague of mine put out. It said that Jesus Christ is on his way back. All right. Obama secretly backing Muslim Brotherhood. President Obama and his administration continue to support the global Islamist militant group known as the Muslim Brotherhood. That's also linked up. And we know that. I've told you before, the perfect plan was getting one of their own on the inside and take America down from the inside out. I mean, you could get mad that I say that, but I mean, you can't prove me wrong. I mean, it's happening. That's linked up for you. And last but not least, how about the truck that drives itself? We've heard about these cars that are going to drive themselves. How about 18-wheelers? How safe do you feel now? It's going to have 18-wheelers driving down the highway by themselves. Well, they're about to do these first tests with these vehicles on the road in the United States. Freightliner's Inspiration truck crossed Hoover Dam on maiden voyage. It says the truck scans the road with cameras and radar and can drive itself on highways. Now, what happens if a bug splats on that little radar eye or whatever the hell they're using? Well, then what? I mean, I don't know. I hope they've thought about all this. Manufacturers say there is still years of testing before commercial rollout. Yeah, until a truck comes cruising by you, and it will. But anyways, folks, this is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera. We're going to be back in just a moment with two guests tonight. I've got Dr. Frank A. Batto, and I have Jackie Barrett joining me tonight. We are going to be discussing some paranormal topics. Jackie is a psychic medium. So we'll discuss that as well. Talking to the dead. Sometimes there's a part of me that, I'd love to do that. But then, I don't know, would you want that happening all the time? That might get really distracting. And who knows, they might convince you it's better just to go there, and I don't know. Anyways, I'm rambling. Well, folks, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Again, this is Late Night in the Midlands, and I am Michael Vera. Don't go anywhere. The L&M Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information and subscribe today. Information on becoming an L&M subscriber can be found at the top of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of LateNightInTheMidlands.com and help us help you.
Hello, this is Dick Farrell, here to tell you about OxySilver. Legally available only through CureShop.com and HealthyWorldStore.com. Don't be fooled buying silver products from copycats and criminals. You've heard Dr. Leonard Horowitz and experts urge you to avoid deadly vaccinations and illegal operators selling stolen OxySilver and OxySilver copycats. You've heard experts tell you about suppression in alternative medicine and confusing propaganda in healthcare and the truth movement. Read Dr. Horowitz's book, Healing Celebrations, to learn how miracle healings can be made to happen through faith, prayer, and a pure diet. Get great immunity using vitamin C, D, and OxySilver, Liquid Dentist, GI Flora Pro, a top-shelf probiotic. Use Green Harvest as a great-tasting meal substitute for energizing organic nutrients and losing weight. And Zeolove, and natural clays for detoxifying your body. More advice, all these products and more are available from TheCureShop.com. including Oxy Silver, the world's most powerful silver hydrosol. Electro-energized to put risky injections, toxic antibiotics, and deadly drug pushers out of business. Oxy Silver is covalently bonded to water. Unlike any other silver product using the frequency of chlorophyll 528, what Dr. Horowitz explains is pure tone love, the universal healer. NASA originally developed covalently body silver hydrosols to keep astronauts healthy in space. Dr. Horowitz added the 528 frequency to NASA's formula and more. Oxy Silver works 3 ways to electrocute dangerous germs better than anything, far better than all leading silver products, and without any risk. Oxy Silver oxygenates and resonates with 528 for faster healing. So help save lives, putting drug lords and criminals out of business, and keep the LNM network broadcasting. Register for our free cooperative at healthworldaffiliates.com/4948. That's healthyworldaffiliates.com/4948. And buy Oxy Silver and other great products in package specials at great discounts from thecureshop.com. Buy Oxy Silver, GI Flora Pro, Green Harvest, Zeolove, and Love Minerals at great discounts at cureshop.com. That's cureshop.com with 2 P's. CURESHOPPE.com. Or call toll free at 1-888-621-7611. That's 1-888-621-7611. Do it now.
The LNM Radio Network offers a moderated chat room at www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Just click the chat and listen page from the drop-down menu at the top of any page on the website, or click the Listen Live button at the top of the homepage at www.latenightinthemidlands.com.
And as we have been programmed mentally, intellectually, one must be aware of this being programmed like a computer.
Programming that we are constantly assaulted by throughout our life conditions us. It programs us to a particular worldview.
The project is literally the secularization of the world. New secular or worldly order.
A new study says the news media have been pushing a gospel of godlessness on the American public.
Because this media is here and designed to make sure that they ask no critical questions. To make sure that the only thing that they are concerned about is having a good time. And so that is why today, one of the struggles that you have as young people, that when you want to do different events and you want to talk about real issues, you have the struggle of many of your peers who've been so conditioned in this matrix that they would rather party than listen to the truth. They would rather party and shop and go to the mall than to stand up for issues of justice. They're stuck in the matrix. But you have the responsibility of helping to wake them up.
Now, how do we know that there's a God? After having been thoroughly brainwashed. And how do we know that there's a creator?
It's the middle of the night and there's nothing much to do. Bring your insomniac self over to Late Night in the Midlands and learn something. We've got every topic you can think of with very little being off limits. Alien abductions, government corruptions, the stuff that's got your sleep disrupted. Come join the conversation tales and tune into Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera.
Folks, we are back. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera, and we're about ready to get our guest on here tonight, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. First, the website, www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Go on over, become a member, and be informed. And by the way, before I get into this, next week, I now know I will be back. I should be back for Friday night show next week. I should be. But I'll be heading to Rochester come Sunday night, and I'll be there for a few days. Going to go visit some family, have a video interview to do with the TV show Paranormal Survivor. They want to talk about the haunted apartment that I had lived in So we'll be going over that, and it's an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, if you will. Get this filming. They were so gracious as to agree to meet me in Rochester to do it. And so that's fantastic, and they're making sure that I get to Rochester and back. So it's been a really good and that's why I say, I don't know about all that Bible stuff, but I could tell you this: there's a God. There is a God. Things just seem to work out, just work out great. They're located in Canada. And so Rochester is really convenient for them. And so we'll kill two birds with one stone. And I can make use of one of my coats, maybe. I understand it's coat weather in Rochester, something I haven't seen here in a while. That's for sure. I'll rub it in a little bit. Here's another good tidbit of information. 3 of the days that I will not be here in South Carolina, it is going to be 3 of the hotter days. 91, 91, and 93. So I'm really gracious to miss that. Now, about my guest. For more than 26 years, Jackie has been a psychic medium and author. Her amazing abilities to both communicate with the dead and guide the living have propelled her into the spotlight. She is known, it says here, throughout the world as America's foremost occult and paranormal expert. Well, that's good news, because that's exactly who I want to talk to tonight, an expert. She is the author of The Devil I Know and The Haunting of the Gemini. Also joining us tonight will be Dr. Frank Batto. And he graduated from New York University College of Dentistry in 1983. He completed an orthodontic program in the Institute for Graduate Dentists in 1986. He is involved with several different societies when it comes to the medical field, and he is actually working on a book, I understand, right now, based on a paranormal experience of his own. I do believe he lost his daughter. I don't have as much about him, so he's going to have to fill us in. Jackie had asked me if he could join us, and I thought it'd be a great idea. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to start things out here with Jackie, so let's go there first. And here we go. We'll see how things work out tonight.
Hello.
Good evening, Jackie. This is Michael Barrett with Late Night in the Midlands. How are you?
Good. Well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing just fine, and I want to welcome you to the show. We are live, and I thank you for joining us. And
well, thank you.
Well, thank you. It's Friday night, and you're spending it with me. I appreciate that.
Anytime.
I guess what I'd like to do. I don't know when you'd like to bring on Dr. Frank. We could bring him on, I figured, just in a few moments. I'd like to maybe start out with your background a bit, and then we'll give him a ring and add him in on the conversation. How's that?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so a little bit of background.
Okay, let's see. A little bit of background. My name is Jackie Barrett. I am a psychic medium, published author with Berkeley. I dive into some of the darkest sides of humanity, between possessions and the criminal mind of parties that are now institutionalized for life. I work on a daily basis with my clients as a life coach, and I also work with now retired Captain of Homicide NYPD Sean Crowley. I think I got it all.
All right, fantastic. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pull in the doctor now.
Okay, awesome.
And then he could fill me in a little more on his background as well. And I understand that he's got a book that he is actually in the process of writing, is it?
Yes, it's pretty incredible. I had the opportunity to read his pen, and he's just amazing. He's just amazing. How I find it truly amazing that a doctor, a dentist, has such spirituality.
Hello, Dr. Frank. This is Michael Barrett with Late Night in the Midlands, and I also have Jackie with me. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Doing just fine. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be invited on your show. I thank you.
Sure. Well, we had Jackie give a little bit of background on herself, and I thought that's where we'd start with you as well.
Okay, great.
Sure.
You want to know about
Frank.
Yes. Hi, Jack. I heard you. How are you?
Good. You're just awesome. I just can't wait for the audience to be so uplifted with your spirituality and your education and just your whole life. I was taken back by it.
Well, thank you very much, Jackie, and thank you, Mike. We could start, I guess. Professional education is always something that people are interested in. Your background and what led me to go into dentistry, I don't really know. I think as a kid I said, this sounds like it's something that is really fun to do. But as I got involved in my training in school, I was drawn to certain areas, working with children that were born with facial deformities, and I did a few years of work in plastic surgery. And I also did a few years working with the total opposite, which was a dentist who treated all of the movie stars of the 70s and 80s. And we had patients walk in there, Frank Sinatra and Greta Garbo and Olivia Newton-John and Tommy Lasorda, the coach of the Dodgers, and Willie Mays and Vice President Spiro Agnew. So I saw both ends of dentistry, the high-end cosmetic and the part of dentistry that really worked with the healing of the soul of the children, of the adults that were born with facial deformities and plastic surgery. And as I began my practice, I realized that there was an energy that was drawn from the patients. And I don't know if we know what a chakra is and the 7 chakras that line up, but I found myself doing work between the 2nd and 3rd chakra. The 2nd chakra being the area of the 3rd eye, and the 3rd chakra being the area of the throat. And I realized it was a very sacred and holy space that people were really live and breathe in that area. And as I worked with patients, I saw not only what their pain was in this lifetime, but other lifetimes as well. And I think patients come to me not realizing the energy work that I do in the healing. So in that respect, from the educational point of view, I really worked in an area that ended up being a healing area, and I do everything in my office. So a patient that comes to me doesn't have to go anywhere else, and I intertwine that with a little bit of impersonations and fun stuff, as Jackie will tell you.
Yes.
Whatever the whatever the genre of the day is, whatever the patients want. So I'm a funny guy. I mix humor, which is an essential gift of healing, in with the energy. So it's a demanding day for me, and it's a rewarding day for me when I'm finished. So that's my professional part of me, the spiritual part, and I think some dentists realize that they're working in a sacred space. Some dentists don't. Some physicians realize they're working in sacred areas of the body. So that was my calling in that area of the chakra and healing. And then the other part of me, which is the human side of me, is as I worked as a dentist, I started volunteering in a hospital near my home in New Jersey, in the Child Life Clinic, which is a clinic that children come to when they have a terminal illness. And I gave of myself as a regular person. You know, I discarded. When I walk in, there is no ego. So it was just me helping the young children. And what was amazing is that the children want to be children with their IVs and with whatever they can't walk or whatever the ailment at the time when I was working with the children. They want to just come into the playroom, and they wanted to play Chutes and Ladders and video games and Monopoly and cards, and I'd give them out ice cream and candy. And I did this for 3 years, and I don't think anybody knew I was a dentist. And I don't want anybody to know, this is the spiritual side of me again working. And I would go in and I would talk with parents of the children that I knew were going to transition soon. And I use the word transition as a shift from one side to the other, from one level to the next. To me, death is a word that we use in society that's final, and it creates fear. But the transitioning or the shifting from the physical to the non-physical is just a rebirth on the other side. And I would work with the teenagers, and I would work with the children. And I'm going to digress for just about a second here. What really motivated me to go into that program is when my daughter was small. We had a summer house on the Jersey Shore, and next door to us was a 17-year-old young man named Paul, who was recovering from a brain tumor. And Paul, you can see, lived in both sides of reality simultaneously. He was a beautiful soul. And my daughter loves dogs. And every afternoon we'd come home from the beach, and he'd be waiting on the porch. And Linda who was my daughter, would come up, and we'd sit on the porch, and Paul would show Linda how to do tricks with Duke, this beautiful Dalmatian, and hold the hand and the paw. And then he would say to Linda, "Why don't you take him around the lake for a walk?" And Linda's eyes would just light up, a 7-year-old kid, with this beautiful big Dalmatian. And I saw that Raul knew what made Linda tick. And I saw in his heart that he could not walk the dog around. And his generosity towards Linda and the love that he showed her, I said to myself, where do you go for your treatment? And I started to talk to him, and he told me of this place, Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And I said, well, I have to go there and give back to what Raul gave to Linda and probably other children who walked by. So I met a spiritual warrior, pontifical champion, a soul of the highest level, while he was still in his physical form. And to me, it was a blessing, and it was a blessing to Linda. And as Jackie may have already told you, we met through my daughter Linda, who has transitioned and is alive on the other side. And that's how Jackie and I got to be friends. And Linda works with me in different areas of my life. And it's something that all loved ones, especially children, will do with their parents, can do with their parents, are able to do with their parents and loved ones. It's just a matter of us lifting the veil to be able to see that other side, a natural, essential gift of our birthright, to be able to access other levels of consciousness without being someone who's born natural. Like you, Jackie Barrett, I bowed her because she has natural talent and skills and abilities. We run into mediums and channels and healers that are born with these abilities. In fact, we're all born with these abilities, but as we get older, some of us, the veil drops, and we have to live in the physical world, and we have to deal with the ego. And for some people like Jackie, that veil never drops. Those are the naturals. I am not a natural. I'm a person who worked my life. I live by the spiritual law of discipline through excellence leads to freedom. I work. So everything that I am able to do is because I wanted to do it. I learned how to do it. Growing up in Brooklyn, we were kids playing baseball. And I said this time before. I was not a natural athlete, but I respected the natural athletes, and I watched them play, and I would learn from them. And all of a sudden, I started to play ball, and they would choose me in on the street, and I'd play baseball, and I'd have fun. And I became free because I'd learned from them. So everything that I'm telling you is things that I've learned. And as a regular individual, if I can learn these things and these abilities to access and speak and work with the souls on the other side, so can everyone else that's listening in. There's no magic trick to this. There's no like special. Everyone has this ability. It's just a matter of just reaching and kind of pushing aside patterns of thought and language that are taught to us that kind of block our accessing this tremendous gift of eternal life.
So it's kind of been conditioned out of us.
Yes, absolutely. We've been conditioned, and we have to just remove the condition, learn a new language, so to speak. That's how I view it.
Yeah, and I love what you said about what you said about death. That it's actually not death; it's being reborn on the other side. And I've brought that up a few times on this show, saying, what if people are crying your loss here, but on the other side, people are celebrating a birth.
Well, that's what it is. They're celebrating the birth, and they want you to enjoy your life. It is a birth. It is a rebirth. We all live simultaneously on several levels. We all work on several levels simultaneously. There are metaphysicists. I don't want to use a technical word, but there's a group of people who believe, and I happen to agree with them, that we live lifetimes simultaneously, and we learn in our subconscious and in our dream state as things come forward in our lives, and as we move through the human condition of growth and what we're here to accomplish.
I see. And you're working on a book right now, I understand. Is that right?
Right. It's I can't talk about the book too much, but it will be out hopefully by early fall, and it's going to be a book that will help everyone who has lost a loved one, especially a child, and it will show in simple terminology and the beauty that exists, something that we all can access. I show in the book how I went through my particular journey, and I mentioned that my journey is just one of an infinite number of journeys. In the realm of spirituality, Mike, we all have a knowing, and this knowing is right because it is our knowing. It is what our higher selves, our guides, want us to learn. So my knowing takes me on this path. It is one of many paths. Your knowing takes you on a path. Jackie's knowing takes her on a path. But in the world of spirituality, every path is the right path because it is our knowing. I mean, you make a little analogy. People go to a movie, and everybody watches the same movie. We sit around and we talk, and we say, oh, boy, that guy, he was great. I didn't like him too much. She did a great job, but that scene was tough. That scene was good. So you get a different perspective of the movie, yet we're all friends, and we all have our opinion, and you walk away and say, gee, maybe Michael Keaton wasn't so good in that role. I have to read that. Maybe I'll look at it again. And that's what spirituality is. Everybody's opinion is their knowing, and everybody's opinion is valid. Everybody's journey is valid, and everybody needs to respect everybody else's process. Everybody's right, and that's the important thing. And everybody is working their own road. And an old analogy is eventually all roads will lead to Rome.
Oh, wow. That's very well said. And now I can't wait for your book to come out, because just listening to you, I can tell it's going to be well worth the read.
And Mike,
I am so proud of his book. I am just so proud to even know Dr. Frank, and not only as my dentist, but first and foremost as the human being that he is. And it's how we connected, and myself being a missionary years back, and for many, many years, and Frank, his office right down the block from my home, he has done missionary work for these children. So it's, we connected, and we connected through Linda, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, that's because, and that's an essential part of the book, which I really can't speak much about. But the reader will see, the parent will see, the husband will see, the wife will see, the brother will see, the father, the mother will see that there is life, and it's concrete, and the examples and the journey that I write about, it's irrefutable. It's just there. It's real. It's normal. It's natural. It's almost as if it's, at the end of the science. It's not scientific, but you can't argue with what is written in the book, because it's all real. It's all from the other side, and they're all validated incidences, not only by me, by mediums that I work with, things that Linda has done, for Jackie, for others.
Oh, yes.
To me. So the book is a multifaceted book, but yet it's a book that will help whoever reads it, from any walk, any nationality, any race, any religious background, any educational level. It's a book for the everyday person, because we are all working the same journey. All our paths are working the same journey.
No, I call it a tool, a handbook for life, because we live our lives stuck, and that's not necessarily living. And they don't want us to be this way. When I say they, our loved ones, our friends, and people we haven't met who come to visit, and
right,
who influence our lives, and such as Linda has influenced my life, and she's one of the most beautiful souls that I welcome in my home, around me. And sometimes, even when I'm having a really hard day, and I was on homicide today, as I was, Frank knew, and I just, I didn't tell him this, but on the way home, I was like, Linda, do you think, like, walk in a house and feel your peace and not carry some of the baggage? So we get to know, just like we get to know our neighbors. And I think the living disregard and discount the fact that they are also living in a different dimension,
right,
but yet right next to us, and they are able to influence. And Violet loves Linda, because I, as a psychic medium, and at least for my gifts, I can see, and I have seen this beautiful girl playing with Violet, my little Maltese, and she's a service dog, so I take her all over the place. And when I had stopped in to Dr. Frank, I just needed to see him, and it had nothing to do with dentistry. And he came out and he was smiling, and she gets so coolly around him where she's a little shy and puts her head down, and it's as though they met, and they have through Linda. So it's amazing, even when I watch you, Frank, with Violet, because your daughter has occupied her many times, and I guess she Violet, animals have this other natural ability, and she picks up on Frank immediately, where she doesn't go to people like that, and it's just such a happy feeling. I can't even explain it. It's like being touched by an angel.
What do people on the other side who you've spoken with, I mean, what do they say about the other side? What exactly is it? Where are they? And, what's it all about?
Mike, I have seen it, and I have written about it, and it's beautiful. From what I have seen, and the part that I saw was a bunch of children running and playing, and I wasn't allowed to cross but so far. And they gave me messages to give back, to bring back, and little notes and what have you. And there was a caretaker, and I knew right away he was an angel, but to the human eye, he looked like a ballyhoo, and his sleeves were rolled up, and he had the most beautiful, warming smile, and he watched after these children, and there was games and rides and the most magnificent animals I have ever seen. And I saw this, and I'm also writing a book, and I'm just, like I had said to Frank, it's like, I'll know when, even though my agent has it, I'll know when it should be brought forward. And I saw this huge plate glass window, and I work with mirrors, and I saw these children, they were able to look down and leave through a certain way that was safe for them. And I just knew that there was this incredible place, and they don't dwell on the things that we do, which is misery, hate, how they transition to the other side. There is no scarring. There was peace, and they all seem to come together. Whereas I often sit back and look at children in the playground, and one of my favorite places to go is the zoo, and I just sit and watch and observe everything. And the first law of human nature is to argue on a playground, and to take things, and to have jealousy, and to nitpick and this and that. And I didn't see it over there.
Oh, good.
I didn't see it, and I often see it here.
And I have to agree. And prior to meeting Jackie, these were the same experiences that I experienced, not only with my daughter, but with others. So what Jackie is saying is absolutely true, what the other side is about. And which brings up an interesting point. there are a lot of places that we can go to in this reality, in this physical earth, to learn how to access the other side. There's places like the Omega Institute, the Ramtha School, A.H. Almas, and the Diamond Heart. And I was drawn to Bob Monroe and the Monroe Institute. And one of the things that what we do, the different programs and different things, and Bob's only criteria is that you are more than your physical body. So it is a place where people from all over the world, all walks of life, all levels of income meet and work. And it started in Virginia, and now there's places all over the world. And we learn, and we go through different programs. And one program we do especially is the Lifeline program, where we are trained. Now, again, if you have natural ability like Jackie, this comes to her. Somebody like me that had a curiosity to learn, this is a place to learn. And in the institute, at the Monroe Institute, in this Lifeline program, which is one of many, we learn how to access other levels of consciousness, other states of awareness, until we get to a state called, Bob is very easy. He numbered everything from 1 to 49. So when you get to 27, you're totally out of your body, and you're in a place called the park, which is where the souls want to go to rest and rejuvenate. And this park is a place where you can create your own reality, your own center, your own house or your own gardens where you could rest and relax, and your loved ones can come to you and they can rest and relax. And we learn how to rescue souls that transition or come from that of their body. And sometimes, Jackie will tell you, that are stuck because they leave too quick or something happened, and they're still holding on to their humanness. Don't really know that they're deceased. We call those people ghosts. Like the house that are haunted. Yeah. It's because that these souls don't want to recognize, they're blocked, and we learn how to reach these souls and bring them to this Focus 27. And it's in this place where everybody can experience the same experience, no matter where you're from. And it is a place where you really see and feel, like Jackie says, the beauty of the mountains and the waterfalls and the colors. And, I describe it as Christmas time all year long there. It's just a beautiful place. And most of us, when we transition, do appear as children, because as children, we are the most happiest in our earthly journey. And sometimes, and Jackie will tell you, and it happens to me, when Linda or other souls come to me, they sometimes appear in their adult form, and lots of times they appear in their child form.
Absolutely.
And that's very important. And one thing that's important that I just want to say at this point, children are angels that are brought here. And when a child transitions, they're fulfilling a promise, a predetermined promise that they made. And God makes sure that these children just shift out of their body. They don't feel pain of the physical death. And I think that's what hurts us as loved ones when a wife or a husband or a child passes. But God, because they are fulfilling a promise to those by leaving earlier and moving on to do their work on the other side and guiding us, that He knows this is His gift, and there is not one child, no matter how that child leaves this earth, no matter how shot, cancer, car accident, it doesn't matter. That child will leave without feeling any physical pain, and that's a tremendous comforting fact as a parent especially, they don't feel it because God just allows them to leave. And as we, as adults, work through our releasing of all the illusions of this world and the things that tie us down, as we do that, we can also leave in the same manner. So there's a lot of gifts that are brought about through the transitioning of a child. And but again, a lot of this is things that can be learned by the everyday average person. We had a janitor from London in a grammar school that was amongst us, and he had the most tremendous, uplifting experience, in the program, and he's just a guy. Maybe he had a fifth grade education, and he had this tremendous experience that we said, look, everyone is the same on the other side, and this man was given a gift, and that gift is the gift of accessing the other side. So it doesn't matter, and that's the point that I'm trying to make, and Jackie makes, is that it doesn't matter who or where you come from. But this Monroe Institute is just one of many places. So my higher self, my higher guides, brought me to the Institute, Bob and I interact with Bob Monroe all the time. Bob Monroe transitioned 10 years before I even entered the Institute, but yet he guides me, he comes to me, he works with me. And he works with others. He works with everybody.
Yeah.
So this is a very interesting, going back to your question, what the other side is like. It's a place where we're free from the attachments of the physicalness, but it's a place where we could learn and grow beyond what the physical world has for us, because there is a lot of darkness here sometimes, and we do get wounded in our journeys because we are human, and being human is a learning process. Souls come into the world to become human for our sense of humor, but because there's lessons, and they'll come back lifetime after lifetime until those lessons are learned, and then they could escape and not have to come back in human form, and then they can exist in other levels in the non-physical, other physical realities that exist. It's a very beautiful, it's not a complicated thing, it's a very simple thing.
I was going to say, it sounds like a fantastic place, and I wonder, why do we come back then? If it's so wonderful, and believe me, that's what I've been led to understand too, is that it is a heck of a lot better than where we are right now. But why do we come back?
Well, we do that because it's part of.
I think a lot of times I mean, everybody has like their opinions, but from what I observed and studied, I think a lot of times, and from what I remembered myself, there's a contract made. And I was able to even pick and choose who I was coming back with, because I was with them prior. And these people come back into your lives, and in my circumstance, and I know, maybe we'll get some laughs out there. Maybe I know Frank is going to have something to say about this, but I remember it was like a fabulous disco, okay? And I was having the best time of my life, and I approached this table. I was called over, and without reading too much, it sort of sounds like me, right, Frank? I signed something, and I remember Will standing next to me, and I called Joanne over, and we were like this fair's threesome, and then I came back, and I guess my work wasn't done, and it's like we all met up again. And my circumstance was a little bit different. I was at a big party. I thought everything was funny, and I signed a paper, and I was going to come back, and therefore I did. Yeah, it was like Night at the Roxy, Right. It was like, mine was like Night at the Roxy. Okay.
but coming from the disco era, we didn't dance like John Travolta. Nobody danced like John Travolta. That was all made up. So all of you people that look at Saturday Night,
no, we weren't actually dancing. It was like I don't know how there was like a rave like this in heaven. Maybe it really was in heaven. That maybe I was like a little bit in between there, and my wings were a little dirty, and I had to come back and polish some things up. Yeah.
So would heaven, I mean, it's kind of like an earth word, I would imagine, but this place, this other, I guess it'd be another dimension of some sort. Is that what it is? Is it another dimension, or does it share our dimension in some way?
I think it's all encompassed. It's both, because we can live in this dimension, the other dimension simultaneously, and the souls do come around us and live around us. And Jackie always makes a joke. She says, "I only go out at night because there's less people out.
Yes,
only the souls are out at night." but you have to understand, there's no time or space or dimension on the other side, and that's something we have to try to work. You kind of have to wrap your mind around that. This physical reality was created so that we can learn through our bodies what our souls need to work through to move to a higher level. On the other side, there is no time or no space. So you could run into someone who, in Earth years, maybe left 10,000 years ago. But that person, because there's no time or space on the other side, is in the present, and that's the beauty of the other side, is that everything happens in the present, because we create time and space. This is a human creation, clocks.
And Frank, would you agree? Like the multiple religions that are out there are fear-based on living and dying,
right?
And they stress, the like live well, or you're going to burn in hell, or do, like, there's always this huge fear around, and I separate myself from that, and I am so glad that I can embrace my spirituality and know what is real, even though I see clients on a daily basis from every walk of life and every religious background, and they come in sometimes very quiet, sneakily through the back door because they don't want to be seen. It's a taboo, it's against religion, or fear-based, and I like to just strip people from those things. I don't think we're supposed to live in fear of angelic.
No, you're
bodies,
right.
Yeah, my mother, when we were kids, would say, she put religion in a very, very easy context, and she said religion is like grammar school, and every religion is the grammar school, and you learn the basics of how to pray and whatever, from whatever background you come, and then as you question your religion, which is a normal right to question religion, like you question a doctor. Patients question me, Dr. Frank, why do I have to have this procedure done? Well, because and I explained it. So when you question religion, it's not wrong to question, because we question everything in life. And you open up your mind. Your mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's open. So as your mind opens, you start to say, well, yeah, religion, okay, so I got a background in here, and I don't really believe that God is going to make us die and go to hell, or we have to suffer, or we're going to, we have to be a martyr. Those negative aspects, as your higher self emerges forth, then spirituality takes over. I was raised Catholic, and every religion has its good and bad points, its darkness and its fear. But I embrace all religions, and I had said this on a previous show. And one summer, I had a summer where I was at the Jersey Shore and hanging out, and I went to every religion, and I went to every church. I was in my early 30s. Went to every Sunday or Saturday. I went to a mosque or a shul, or I went to a Baptist, or I went to a Protestant. I went to Lutheran. I went to Methodist, Episcopalian, Catholic. Every conceivable. I would travel from town to town and sit in the Mormons. I would just sit in and listen. And what I observed in everyone's religion is that there is unconditional love. And once you allow the unconditional love to enter, no matter what religion or no matter what grammar school you came from, you go into the higher levels, the high schools, or the colleges, which is spirituality. So we all have a basis of unconditional love, and a basis of a knowing that is real to us. So that's how I look at religion. It's limiting, and it is fear-based, and it is limiting because it's a human condition. But yet we need to start someplace. So you start with the religion, and then it's okay to become spiritual, and it's okay to say everybody has unconditional love, and it's okay to say that we all come to the same resting place or the same inner peace when we do the deep meditation. We come to the same wholeness and the same oneness. So I have to, agree with Jackie that it is a self-limiting, and sometimes it's a fear-based driven, context. I am not saying don't be religious. Yes, that's good, but you need to understand that being a spiritual person is different than being a religious person, because when you're spiritual, you see everybody.
I would be shunned by most religions. Coming from Louisiana, my background in religion is Voodoo, which is voodoo. Even though it's mixed with Catholicism and American Indian, which I'm half of, and I have tattoos, and I beat to a different drum, and it's like, to me, the strict religion ties our hands from truly living and loving one another.
Right. It creates judgment, and judgment.
Yes, exactly. You're absolutely frank. You're absolutely right.
You create a barrier of fear. You judge. Somebody comes into the neighborhood. Oh, he's a different color. You judge him because you become afraid. It's fear. It's judgment. So when you let that judgment go, you let go of your inner judgment and your outer judgment. The word judgment. When you judge someone and you judge yourself, you're actually living a fear-based life. So, and I write, and in my book, I explain books that I have read that work in this level, that anybody could buy in Barnes and Nobles or Amazon.com, and hey, this is where it works. And this book pointed me in this direction. So, yes, I believe judgment is really a word that is created by egos and religions and nations and nationalities to create fear. You sit around, and when I at the Monroe Institute, we had people from Russia and Germany and Japan and South America and China and Canada and the United States, and you come there and you realize that people are just people, and it opens your eyes.
You strip from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm funny, so everybody loves me, so I'll do it, boy.
and I agree with...
I make them off so they can't refuse, I come in like Marlon Brando. I got to make them an offer they can't refuse. This nonsense is
I love that. Every time I sit in the chair, I have to get that, or I'm not relaxed.
She likes Robert De Niro. You.
Oh my God, I love that.
You're good. Now. You got talent. You're good. You.
Yeah, and as I'm laughing, the biggest needle ever goes into my mouth. I just, the last time I did your show, Mike, I thanked Frank, and I put it out there, hoping he was listening, that how much I loved him and respect him as a human being, as a father to all. And there's times I just drop in there to get a hug, and he's amazing. And I really thought it's time for the others, the people who are listening, to have the experience that I have had with Frank, and his knowledge of the Monroe Institute, of being a lay person and learning how to see and feel and hear, and how to, I guess it was, I was taken back by this person who studied, but first his heart was always opened as a humanitarian, and that's very important. And he never judges people, and I've never heard him say an ill word about anyone. To learn how to do what I do, that I might have been born with this, but I met somebody who was open to it and studied and learned how to see what I see. And I was just so fascinated by it.
Well, that's great, and we're coming up on a break here in a minute. But before we go to that break, I just want to say this: that I agree with both of you as far as the organized religions go, and how I always say there's nothing wrong with religion per se. I think some good things could come out of it. However, with most religions, and it's been about everyone I've dealt with, there's these blockades, because like you said, you're told, you better, I fear God. I fear I'm going to go to hell if I do this or do that. And these things stop you from going outside and learning more. I mean, because that's what we're here for. We're here to learn. And these things sometimes prevent us. So I don't think it's bad if you're like me. I mean, I might study certain religions, but I'm awake to the dogma, so I won't be led down any roads in particular. Right. But I do have a belief in a God. I don't believe everything they tell me here.
It's religion, like Frank and I was saying, separate and divide, and that's what it has done. And then it has, you open up the newspaper, and most of the wars, if not all, people blame the oil, and I say it's religion. Yeah. And it will never stop.
Right.
It will never stop, because of the ego, as Frank speaks of, has to do with, whose religion is better than the other.
Yeah, that's about it. It's, whose God can be, my dad could be your dad, kind of thing, and it's a shame. But,
yeah.
As human beings, that we trust our own knowing, and we trust our own process, and what we know inside of ourselves to be real and true to us, that's what we live by. And I know people who live by the fact that they trust their own knowing and their own heart, their own soul, that these people are the people that really what the conscious awakening is all about. This shift in humanity and the consciousness, and the fact that you are gracious enough to have someone like Jackie and myself share these things with other people on the air, is just part of the conscious shift, and I have to commend you and your courage and what you represent to people. You, in your own right, you are working the path that we all are on, and you create a space and an area where people can come and be safe and talk about things and say, hey, this is normal, this is good, I'm okay with myself, and I'm happy, and this knowing is good. And so you're doing a great service to humanity, Mike, and I think your listeners and Jack and I, you need to be commended for your courage and your energy and what you do, what you present, what you bring to the table of humanity, what you bring to the conscious awakening and the spiritual evolution of humanity. So I have to say thank you, and I hope all of your listeners are giving you a big applaud and a hooray at this point.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate those kind words. We do need to take our break, and so I want to put you both on hold for just a moment, so it'll be silent. It will be about 4 or 5 minutes here. And then we'll come back and we'll talk some more. So hang on with us for a moment, folks.
Okay, great.
Thank you. My guests are psychic medium Jackie Barrett and Dr. Frank A. Batto, and a very, very good and deep conversation here tonight. I'm really digging it myself. I hope you are too. We'll take calls when we come back from the break. If you want to call in, 803-317-2264. If you're listening to this on the Dark Matter Radio Network, please do not call in because it will be recorded for you. So, folks, hang on with us. This is Late Night in the Midlands, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
You have found the best place on the internet by tuning into K98Talk.com, where it is our mission to broadcast the very best variety programming, giving you a balance of information from every angle and letting you decide. We are here to serve our listening audience with a proven track record. So stay with K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network, and we will keep you informed.
Hello, this is Lisa Marie, here to tell you about Oxy Silver, legally available only through CureShop.com and HealthyWorldStore.com. Read Dr. Horowitz's book, Healing Celebrations, to learn how miracle healings can be made to happen through faith, prayer, and a pure diet. Get great immunity using vitamin C, D, and Oxy Silver, Liquid Dentist, GI Flora Pro, a top-shelf probiotic. Use 528 Superfood as a great tasting meal substitute for energizing organic nutrients and losing weight, and Zeolove and natural clays for detoxifying your body. Oxy Silver oxygenates and resonates with 528 for faster healing. So help save lives, putting drug lords and criminals out of business, and keep the LNM network broadcasting. Register for our free cooperative at healthyworldaffiliates.com/4948 and buy Oxy Silver and other great products in package specials at great discounts from theCureShop.com. Buy Oxy Silver, GI Flora Pro, 528 Superfood, Zeolove, and Love Minerals at great discounts at CureShop.com. That's CureShop.com with 2 P's. Cure Shop. Or call toll free at 1-888-621-7611. That's 1-888-621-7611. Do it now.
It's the middle of the night and there's nothing much to do. Bring your insomniac self over to Late Night in the Midlands and learn something. We've got every topic you can think of and very little being off limits. Alien abductions, government corruptions, the stuff that's got your sleep disrupted. Come join the conversation tales and tune into Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera.
The L&M Radio Network offers a moderated chat room at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com. Just click the chat and listen page from the drop-down menu at the top of any page on the website, or click the listen live button at the top of the homepage at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com.
In many cases is the idea that the aliens are essentially trying to create a hybrid mix of themselves and ourselves. They're interested in our DNA, our genetic makeup, and beyond that, they're interested in our personalities, our affection for our children, our love for one another, a whole kind of range of what we think of almost the most human characteristics we have emotionally.
We have to face up to reality that, for example, the UFO phenomenon is a real phenomenon, no question about it. So anybody who debunks the UFO phenomenon itself don't know what he or she's talking about.
Hey, Michael, I promised you I'd call in for a little bit, and here I am.
I know that I bashed Bush the entire time. I wasn't even allowed on Coast to Coast there for a while because I was told not to talk about Bush.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Late Night in the Midlands. We cover everything.
Hard days and disasters have stolen your laughter, and fear was your master too long. The endless competing like sharks at a feeding. Past unsleeping are gone. Rest easy, my buddy. You don't have to worry. If you have the money or you don't, this isn't a business. You live where your heart is. Rest easy, my buddy. You're home.
All right, folks, we are back. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera, and we have a really good conversation going here tonight with psychic medium Jackie Barrett and Dr. Frank Batto, and just very, very deep, very, I mean, my God, I love talking about this stuff because, you know, you hear other people's perspectives and it starts to, you know, make yourself feel like you're not so crazy, thinking the way you have. I mean, I've thought for a long time that, you know, when we die, we're probably being born on the other side. And to hear him say that, to hear psychic mediums say that, agree with that, well, you know, then I just might be right, maybe. So, people will be crying for you on this side, and they'll be cheering for you on the others. And we'll take calls, 803-317-2264. That is the number to call in. You can also call in using Skype. Our Skype to Skype ID is Late Night in the Midlands. There's no spaces in that. And we are back, and Doctor and Jackie, I'm curious as to what it is like. Well, Jackie, for you, for instance, for starters, What is it like working with the police in these cases? It's one of the things that was on my bucket list tonight to ask you about, because I'm wondering, I mean, is it like these TV shows? I mean, do you actually see the person? Do they come and try to help you solve their murders?
Sometimes it is. When I'm called onto a case in homicide, and if they're missing something, I go back. I go to the place that the crime was committed, and I retrace the steps. So the victim is there with me. Sometimes comes directly into me, and I reenact right in front of the police or whoever is there. Usually it's the captain and some of his private detectives, and they're just taking notes or they're filming it. And then, unfortunately, the gift goes a little bit beyond that, and the perpetrator comes through. And it looks like Jackie and 2 other or 3 other people are in the room at the same time. So I'm taking on all these different entities at once, and until I bang it out, and then it leads me to who I feel did this crime. So it's very draining. It's I can't even explain what it feels like, because my space changes, the room changes. It's as though a curtain went up, and I am on this stage, and I literally pushed Jackie aside to let these different people in. And I think the most frightening one was, it was a fella from Germany, and I started speaking German, and I don't speak German. And they knew exactly who it was then.
Wow. That's incredible. I have, back in the late 90s, my aunt was murdered. And to this day, it's still a cold case. And I've actually been talking with some private detectives who might be thinking about taking the case. And I've always had a suspicion of who I think was involved with it. And I mean, it'd be nice to be able to connect on that realm like you do, and be able to pull. Is it like an Akashic record you go to at times for this, or no?
Yeah. I mean, I have to go on site, or unfortunately to the morgue, and pick everything up there. And then I'm brought quickly to different areas of what the person last did, what they ate, where they stopped. And I'm able to write these things down really fast, or like the last one, I hurt my hand. There was a mirror that was replaced in this girl's apartment, and I knew the mirror was shattered by this one guy. And it so happened that the super of the building, and I can say this because he was caught, had his hand wrapped. And I put my hand through the mirror. So, it takes a toll. It takes.
You realize that this planet has 7 billion people. There are maybe 4 or 5 Jackie Barretts in the entire world, and to listen. And I've read her books, and knowing her in person and her humility, does what no one else can do or is willing to do. And this is a great person, Jackie Barrett. And we need to all understand that what she does is a service that is so unique and so special, and she gives to herself, that you're never going to meet another person like that. And I say there's 7 billion people on the planet, and I meet one of the 4 or 5 of the most elite people in this area that can work through the darkness and the pain and bring to the light those that suffer. It's an amazing talent that she has. It does take a toll on her. That's why she has to come in for hugs and kisses. But
yeah.
Your listeners and
broken teeth from situations that your body goes through, and it takes a special person like Frank, and Dr. Frank, who I have to walk into his office, and there's a lot of things I don't speak about, and that's kinetic energy. There are dentists that won't treat me because I knock their equipment out.
Well, she does it.
Well, you said broken teeth, and I'm wondering, are you boxing with these entities? Are they fighting with you?
It's like, I clench my teeth, and Dr. Frank yells at me, and he's like, you better wear that night guard, and you better do this, and you better do that. And, when you're struggling with, and let's call it for what it is, it's like the person's becoming possessed by a perpetrator, and the victim is saying, hey, come here, this is what happened to me. And sometimes these wounds happen, and they're happening to me. I can't go to another dentist, and and I have, and there are many times they couldn't find anything, or I knock their equipment out, or the water doesn't work, or the x-rays don't work, or as soon as I sit down, and and Frank was ready for this, and it takes a special person. I mean, how would he even know that? I never spoke of those things. It's not like you fill out your medical history and says, oh yeah, by the way, if my energy is high and I'm really scared, I'm going to knock your equipment out. It doesn't work that way, and it's amazing because as soon as I sat down, he was like, "Listen, young lady, you leave my equipment alone." But it happens. I've gotten stuck in elevators. Anything that has to do with power and electricity, and and Frank has a really, really good eye and a good hand, because he had to do procedures, and I knew that I could just feel it, that my energy was going to go in a different direction, and it was like I was like sort of fussing, no, I don't want this done, I don't want this done, and it's like your psyche takes over, and it started, pulling on his electricity, knocking things out, and it was with a laser.
Right, a laser.
So Frank had to be like, you're the man, Frank, you're the man.
Lasers. So
you're the man. I mean, that's like cutting with a laser and having somebody with kinetic energy saying no, and and making like these right cuts. And it was done. He was ready for whatever was going to happen, and you see the lights start flickering, and what happened to the machine, Frank?
Yeah, it kept on going out, and I had to restart it. When Jackie comes in, I know there's higher guidance, and my daughter comes in the room with us, and I know what has to get done, and so I see it, and I see it, and I go through it, and I know what the kinetic energy does. Linda does that a lot in my office too. She'll shut instruments on and off when certain patients come in that have the ability to see the other side, and she makes herself known to. I have some patients that do have some natural ability. Nothing like Jackie. We're not talking Jackie. I'm going to say it again. 4 or 5 people in the world of 7 billion can do what Jackie can do. I'm one of what I do. Millions of people can do. Hundreds of millions of people can do.
Maybe.
So I don't know, Frank. You knew. Like, I didn't say I had a cavity. I didn't say anything. And you were like, this, you named the tooth where it was while you had your back to me. And I was like, I don't have a cavity there. I don't feel anything. And you turned around and you said, excuse me, Linda just said you have a cavity there. And I was like, and I see her sitting right across from me, and she has this smile on her face, and she's giggling. And the X-ray comes up, and it was like a big nasty cavity. I was like, okay.
Which 7 months of dentists and ENTs missed the mark completely, right?
Oh my God, it was so bad that particular side and that ear from diving, because I would dive for bodies as well. With search and rescue, and also after, of course, the crime was committed, for any clues. That one ear, I would constantly get ear infections, and then it became perforated from an abscess, and nobody could pick it up. There's the Park Avenue doctors couldn't get it, the Madison Avenue doctors couldn't get it, and this really beautiful girl. I was leaving my home, and I was headed back towards the city to go to this very spa dentistry type of place where it's 2 arms and a leg it cost, and
they tickle your feet while they work on you, right?
Yeah, exactly. They give you lavender to smell. And it's like, she said, and I was crying. I was in so much pain. And she sat and she spoke to me. I found myself on Dr. Frank's steps to his office, which is a beautiful place. And I said, well, I don't think he's in today. And she said, I think you should wait for tomorrow. Like, I don't think you should get on the train. And I said, okay, I will. And she walked me back to the house, and I came back home, and I laid down, and I left a message with Dr. Frank's phone, and I said, I was recommended by you, and so on. And I got an appointment, and I come in, and he said, well, who recommended you? And I said, this beautiful girl. And I started talking about her and her name, and he showed me a picture, and I was like, yeah, that's her. How do you have a picture of her? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he said, that's my daughter. And from that day forward, and she warned me about things in my home as well. Frank, the boiler, the hot water heater, the pilot blew out, and there was a huge flood downstairs. I didn't even know. And gas was leaking. And Joanne went to go put the dryer on right in the next room. And she heard Linda's voice, who is, by now we know Linda, and she occupies, the space that she wants, and she likes it nice and tranquil. And she called Joanne upstairs, and Joanne didn't know who it was at first. And she came upstairs, and she just said, "Don't turn it on." And within 20 minutes, remember, Frank, the gas company had come. They shut everything down. They had to pump water out. They said the whole place could have blew.
You saw her finger pointed at the pilot light and said, "Don't touch it."
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
See how valuable you are, Jackie? You are valuable. We are so protected from the other side because of the work you do for people. The people that that don't even know you but reach out to you. And she's very humble. Jackie is not one of these high-profile people that have to be on these major shows and stuff, but yet she does a lot of her own work, and production companies come up to her and they ask her to be on shows and write things for them because she's real. She's real. She's honest and humble, and she's real. She's the real deal. That's who she is. She's a real person.
The show that I was going to do, a seance for, and I'm going to say the production company because I knew something wasn't right, but it was Stephen David's production company here in New York City, and everything was going great. Everything was going great. A&E loved it. They did Men Who Built America and several other pretty incredible shows. And Randy Koosman, who did most of everything, Emmy Award-winning Randy Koosman, very good friend of mine. I love him very much. I went to him and I said, "I don't feel right about it." They offered more money, and I said, it has nothing to do with that. And I shared, these emails with Frank because he's such an honest, good person, and I needed an outsider to tell me I was doing the right thing, and I had to have the contract annulled because they wanted to, their words, make me into more of the character of like the Long Island medium. And that wasn't going to fly with me. I wrote to them and I said, I have to be able to sleep at night, and ultimately we sleep with ourselves no matter who sleeps next to us. And I need to get up and feel right about myself.
The beauty of Jackie, and you're listening to it, Mike, and all the audience, is the matter of fact, real, natural, normal way she puts these things. So that when you listen to her and listen to her work and you see what she does and you read her books and you listen to her on the radio, you realize that this is normal and natural and what we're here to experience. And it's because of someone like her that this fear of the finality of death and the fear of that this physical world being all that is melts away, and the essential qualities of inner peace and love come forth in truth. All of these reality TV shows have to have a bit of schmoozing and smooching, and to get the audience to cajole the audience to sit and watch it. You talk to Jackie.
You're absolutely right, Frank, because what they wanted was they wanted to add the dynamics of, like, it wasn't good enough having the truth put out there, but they wanted trash TV, and I was very disappointed in them because when I first sat down with this production company, I told them that my reputation is, and the truth is most important to me, and I'm not going to snowball anything. Like, what you see is what you get. And what they said to me was they wanted, and I can talk about this now because the contract was nulled as though nothing ever happened, and they don't spend what they spent on this show, and to say, okay, let's null this contract because she is going to blow us up on TV. And I would have done that. What they wanted was to incorporate my husband, William Barrett, into it, and to have fake arguments, and sort of like, I was like, what is this? Like, we're not even like that. We're not, and Frank knows us both. We're friends. We're not only friends, we're spiritual beings together, but we're his patients. He knows us separately, and he knows us together. And we're not like that. I don't fight like that. I don't think he could last 2 rounds with me anyway. Frank's like,
she's the Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, that Sicilian side comes out. That Creole Sicilian is like, but no, I'm not going to have a mock fight with my husband, and I'm not going to. That's intrusive. You shouldn't be in someone's home. I don't agree with those things. That's your private space. Like, you can film what I do and try to take it and make entertainment for TV. Mm-hmm. But it's not entertainment. I can be entertaining, but it's not entertainment. These are people's lives. And then to incorporate us going to bed arguing, and we don't do that. I'm not interested in arguing with William, and I don't think he wants to do that with me.
And this is the courage that she has, that she's willing to go against everything to say, this is real, this is true, this is who I am, and I'm not compromising for any amount of money or fame to be on TV or to be on a production company just to get my name out there, because what I do is real. And this is the spiritual conscious evolution which Jackie is a major part of. And people are going to start to understand this. And maybe, when Jackie is on a television or show or a production company, they're going to see the real, normal, everyday things that we can all access and be a part of. And, I know this is all true because while this is going on, one of Linda's cats, Caesar, came in, and he's purring, and he's sitting on my lap, and he's hanging out with me. So the energy is there because he just walked in. He walked in during the break, like, okay, I'm here now. As Johnny Cross would say, we've got some characters joining us. There's a big show here. So Caesar is here along with Doc and the rest of the NBC orchestra. So yes, this is the reality of the humor. You're not going to find a person as real, as humble, or courageous as Jackie, and I'll say it 100 times. And I'm honored and humbled to be her friend, and I'm very grateful that my daughter introduced us. And that's all.
Oh my gosh, so am I.
More about that. This is a great thing, and Mike, you having her on the show again shows that your wisdom from a higher level, that you know what the truth is, and bringing someone like Jackie on more than one time means you are connected to a higher level, and you seek the truth. So you are guided on the path as all of us are guided. We just have to move past the fakeness of what we consider reality is, which is not really real. What real is what Jackie does and what you do. I guess what I do.
And what you do, Frank, like you've helped so many people. I walk into your office and I can see, the patient, and then the scared, lost soul, and the people that have passed onto the other side, and transitioned right alongside them. And I sometimes think that they're coming to you to be embraced by spirituality and not so much the mouth pain.
Right, and I agree with that. I agree with that because I had a similar experience in hospitals where I would be in the hospital and I would see angels and guides actually communicating with the doctors directly. And I was actually picked to observe this. And they're communicating with the doctors, and the doctors turn around and tell the nurses the exact tests that these guides and healers were communicating to the doctor through their higher chakra levels. And I'm watching and I'm listening and I'm seeing the entities working as the doctor's reading the chart, and I hear the entity telling the doctor's higher self, no, this patient needs a CAT scan, an MRI, you got to get this one to triage, and then he opens up his mouth, and the physical doc now is speaking to the physical nurse to help the physical patient who needs help. But it's all orchestrated by the souls of the higher self, of the doctor, of the guides and the angels and healers that work with them, and also the spiritual souls of the patients that are standing next to them, the fathers, the mothers, and parts of themselves from other lifetimes, parts of themselves who live in several. We have many lifetimes and lots of times, and I'll go back to something that just reminded me of when we transition and leave. Sometimes, the poor person died alone in the house. Nobody ever makes a transition alone, because you are surrounded not only by your loved ones that have gone before you, but also parts of yourselves and yourselves from other lifetimes, future lifetimes, present, past lifetimes. They are all there to greet you. So no one ever makes the journey into the world physically alone, and no one ever leaves the physical world alone. And again, that's another comforting fact. Some people realize that there is a continuity of life. And I just, it just came to me as, it's very important.
God damn it, Frank, you are so smart.
What do you want me to do?
I just love it. I'm you always shock me. I'm just sitting back and I'm looking through one of my mirrors that I work in, and
do I have hair? Do I have hair on my head in that mirror? I have hair on my head.
You do.
Keep on looking.
You do. It's you. I'm always amazed by you, and I know for a fact you've helped many members of my own family where they were like, oh my God, this is so much pain, and it turned out to be stress. It turned out to be stress, and it's like, of course all your teeth are hurting. You're doing A, B, C, and D, and you need to relax. And I've never had, where a dentist knew when enough was enough, and how to massage your jaw, your temple, and just everything. And you're just an amazing person, and I just feel so blessed that you're in our life.
You mean I'm not really Fredo? I'm smart, Mikey. I'm smart. I'm not dumb like people. I'm smart.
and you know
I'm not, as long as I'm not Fredo.
You know for a fact, when that production company said, "Don't let the public know how close you are to your animals," I embrace the totem of our spiritual guides as animals as well, because they come back as people, and I see Violet. I see Violet come back as a very small part of Jackie, the little child that maybe wasn't treated so well, and I see it in her eyes, and she's so. Everybody who meets her says, there's something different about her. She's so human-like, and they were like, well, and I bring her on cases with me, like she's under my arm, and I bring her, and she looks at me, and she knows, and she has this little intuitiveness, and I push her around in a little buggy while I'm chasing the bad guys, and Frank has seen this, and they were like, no, we don't want Jackie to be like that. We want Jackie to have poofy hair and tons of makeup, and I was like, but Jackie doesn't do that. I run around in flip-flops, and sometimes I lose one in the damn street, and I'm pushing a Maltese in a little buggy, and that's my life, and I wipe her after she poops.
And it's normal and it's real, and that's what,
and that's me.
That's what tonight's interview, this show is about. This is normal and real and every day. To me, this is normal. And
you've seen that about me, Frank. It's like I don't know. I think I had too long flip-flops on when I was in your office one time, but it's like.
Well, Jackie,
it is what it is.
Let me ask you about this. I mean, especially with you getting involved with murder cases, what about negative energy, evil, some people might call it, even demonic? Right. What about those energies?
Well, of course they exist. I mean, I've been around it ever since I'm a child. You can't, for myself, you can't open a door and pick and choose, like, I'm only going to have you come in. When you have a house party, the door is open and people just come flowing in, and that's the same for, many spirits, entities, and our loved ones. You have to know how to let them go. You just have to know how to do it. For me, it's second nature. I've been around this. I worked for my mother, who was considered one of the most sought-after mediums in the world. And at the age of 5, I ran the seances for her, for these people lined up. And, was it always good ones? No, absolutely not. And sometimes we think we're contacting someone that's good, and there's a little sneak in there. And you have to recognize it, and they leave little signs because they never get it right, and we don't accept it. We don't accept it, and we know how to banish it. Has it affected us? Absolutely. Absolutely it has. I'm not going to say it hasn't. I mean, you don't live Dillinger's life without looking behind.
Right.
Well, I guess I'm wondering. This question actually came from the chat, and I thought it was a good question, so I'll extend on this. You talked about how an angel would whisper into a doctor's ear or exchange information, and I thought that's great. And then one of our listeners says, well, is it possible that a bad entity could do that and cause you harm? And I thought, good question, but, I guess that would be possible, wouldn't it?
In my experiences, it's never... I've never seen that occur.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. But
yeah, but I think you would know the difference. I mean, there is something that comes along with these negative entities. For instance, when I say they never get it right, there's awful smells, there's bad feelings that come over a sensitive, a psychic. Frank is definitely a medium. He would pick up on these things. He picks up on it before people walk in the office. I think one would know. It's like, I remember when Joanne was really, really small, and we were in Haiti at the time, and we were missionaries, and she said, "Oh, I want a cat, I want a cat." And, I mean, we lived a struggling life as missionaries, and I said, well, we're going to get one when we go back to the States. And she said, "I want a cat like I see in our hut." And I was like, "What? We don't have a cat there." And I was like, "Oh, God, it's probably like a huge rat or something, right?" So when I went in there, and she said, "There it is in the closet," and it passed, and it was, and of course she was very young. It was, it looked like a figure of an animal, but it was missing the back leg, and the head wasn't right on. So I said, "Okay, just come really close to me. Get over here, kid. This is not a cat." It came in the form of an animal, but they don't get it right. Demons don't get it right. They just don't. They don't.
And the simple analogy is they don't go near the light. Simple words.
They don't wanna. They don't want to.
Don't want to be near.
Yeah.
And if working in a hospital setting, that, and especially emergency and triage, and these doctors and nurses are working in the light. So the only entities that are actually working on with these doctors on these patients are those that are already in the highest level of the light, because those are the only ones that are allowed to work in this realm. So yeah, there is darkness, and it's around us, and the darkness can choose to stay in the darkness, and that's part of the reincarnation process, and where the God is all good. Everybody makes it into the light. Some people have to do it hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, and they take one small step, and over a 70-80 year period, and they have to come back and do it again. In the times we call them the gabados, the hotheads, and they have to work.
Is that what I was called?
I do. You work, and then eventually we all get there. So, and as a soul progresses and grows, the light encompasses the soul, and the darkness just fades away. So it's a natural selection process, almost like an it's evolution, but it's spiritual evolution.
Well, I am glad to hear that demons don't hang around hospitals. And I gotta say, I've been doing this almost 8 years, and I yet to have anybody tell me of a demonic story having to do with any hospital. So that is good news.
Yeah. Yep. No, exactly. I don't trust any entity at first, and I guess from my own, experience and growing up in a family that was very educated in the occult as well. It's like having a bad date. It's like, okay, I have to go on like 10 of these dates first to actually, see what I'm seeing here. But Frank is truly like, that's it. He puts that brick wall up, and he puts those gloves on. He's like, you're not passing this. Where on the other hand, I'm like, show me what you got.
Mm-hmm.
It's
well, that's why you're messing with the equipment in the dentist office. So you got to someone's got to ground you.
Yeah, I get in trouble for that.
We blame Jackie. Wait, that reminds me. I got to send you the bill for that whole thing.
Oh, damn!
Mike,
I shouldn't have said anything.
To bring it up on the air, but Jack and I have to work out a settlement here for.
Oh my God! Yeah, lasers.
Well, I'm just bringing a little levity into the. We
I'm gonna
are
have to
human.
clean the office.
Right. I mean, well, you clean the office anyway when you come in. Anything that's not anything that has an inkling of negativity just scatters.
I just love Frank's office. It's full of stuffed animals. It's like I pick mine out and I go run in my chair and it's just so comforting.
I am like a animal being dragged to the veterinarian. When it comes to a dentist, it takes everything I have to sit down. And when they tell me have a seat, someone will be with you shortly, I'm thinking don't wait too long because I'll leave.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know something? It's
I had a bad experience, I think, when I was a kid, and I think it's just carried over. I think it's one of those things. And
a lot of people have that negative experience.
Yeah.
And
I think dentistry is you know what? I think it's number one to have fear. But after I've met Frank and been around him, I realized the other hand of dentistry, how to look in the mouths of people, that's where everything is held.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's where when you argue it comes out, when you spew nastiness, hatred, prejudices, all of this comes from the mouth, and Frank has to work on these people. And it's like me, at the end of the day, you have to cleanse everything and separate yourself and just become one with your spirit. And it's a double-sided sword there.
It's a sacred space, like I had said at the outset.
Yeah.
You're asking, and what people that have feared of dentists in general, in your situation, had a bad experience because you felt that you were not in control, that someone who was going to enter your sacred space, and somewhere you knew that this person was not the right person to enter your sacred space, but your mother said, "Hey, we're going to Dr. Bill on the corner," and that's where you're going to.
Yeah.
So, and when I do a lot of work with the patient, the first thing I tell them is, you are in control. I am only here to serve you. You can get up and leave whenever you like.
And you know what? He does say that. He does. And I think, Frank, what did you think of, when you found out I had my own set of tools, dentistry tools? You probably thought, what are you, crazy?
You brought your own tools?
Oh, I think everybody we all have tools of different trades in our homes, right?
I know, but I accidentally went too far, and thank God you're down the block.
Right. All have ours.
He was Jackie, this is crazy. Throw it out. Give them to me. You have no right trying to be a dentist.
Well, I have a couple questions from the chat here. Crystal asks about angels. She says, are the angels physical beings that can choose who can see them and who can't, or are they energy and they are our brain's way of perceiving them?
Go ahead, Frank.
Okay. The human body is all right. We all have dominant senses that we're born with. Some of us can see, some of us can hear, some of us can feel, some of us can smell, some of us can taste better. Whatever your dominant sense is, that is how the angelic being will contact you, because that is how you process the information from the other side. So an angelic being can come. People think that because you don't see the soul physically, they're not alive. That is a falsehood, because the soul, the angelic being, is alive. Sometimes they enter the heart. sometimes with Linda, I see her in all different dimensions. I see her physically in front of me. I feel her emotionally. I see her shadows. She enters my body. We do things together. I smell things. I taste things. So, in simple terminology, is your dominant sense. We all know what our dominant sense is. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's cooking. There's whatever that dominant sense is. That is the initial sense that the angelic being will contact the human, because that is the gift that the higher self allows the person to use. Because we're all individuals, right? Some of us are baseball players. Some of us have a radio show. Some of us drive a train. And we all have different skills, and we've learned those skills. That's why human beings are unique. So the answer to that question is, an angelic being can manifest itself in forms, whether it's physical, non-physical, spiritual, sensual, the dropping of a coin in front of you, somebody's picture being knocked over. This interesting question. Answer this is that this is all normal and real, and it's important to rethink. The word paranormal is a false word. We need to remove that word from the language of the world, because paranormal means and in fact there isn't a scientific definition for paranormal. It's something we put on to say, well, it's paranormal. No, this is normal. So to answer her question, whatever form, shape, smell that angel takes, that's normal for that person, and she should honor that gift, that way of receiving the being. And eventually, as time goes on, she will develop, because she embraces it as normal, not paranormal, not weird, but normal and natural.
Yes.
And then other areas will open up and other things will develop. Did I answer that question, Mike, for her?
I think you answered it wonderfully. And we have another question here. JH asked, Jackie, whether you do readings, do you do private readings? Is there a cost, so on and so forth? So somebody who's interested in maybe contacting you later.
Well, you can go to, yes, I do readings, and they are private. You can contact my assistant, Joanna Agnelli, and you can go to my website, JackieBarrett.com, or the house that Kay built. And you'll have the information there, or you can email me, jwj1313 at AOL.com, and we'll see how we could assist you.
All right, fantastic. That's good. Now, what I would also like to do now is give both of you, we've got a little bit of time, so don't feel rushed, give both of you an opportunity to get out anything that you'd like. And I guess before we'll do that, we'll take a call. We've got Ira calling in. Ira, welcome aboard, my friend. Hello, Ira. You got to plug yourself in. Ira, going once, going twice.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, you're lucky.
You almost hit the button.
I pulled away and the button was pressed. We almost had a nuke go off here.
Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. Welcome
my blindness
aboard.
kicked in and I missed the button.
What's
This
on
has
your
been
mind?
an amazing night. You guys have definitely been really entertaining, really good to listen to, and a lot of really great information has come out. I've just really wanted to say I really appreciate you guys coming on here together and discussing these topics. Doctor, I loved the way that you said that we have to consider the paranormal no longer a word, that it has to be considered normal. I've said that for a really long time. I think that those of us who have these different abilities to do the things, we have to not only accept them as being the norm, but we also have to teach other people that it is the norm as well. We constantly tell our kids, okay, well, these things don't exist. They're not real. Your imaginary friend is just, you're in your mind and all this kind of stuff. And we always do such a disservice because we have thrown away the spiritual side of ourselves and taken on things like religion as the replacement of spiritual side of things. When in fact it is actually the spiritual side of things that we've had since the moment of our conception, because that is what we are and where we have come from.
Hey, did you read my book yet? It's not out. Exactly. You're right on the money, and you're definitely I know you're a spiritual soul, and I know you've done your work and you've done your journey, and you're absolutely right. All children, all of us have imaginary, but they're not imaginary friends. They're real entities. A child at that age, at a young age, has no veil. So it's communicating with physical and non-physical beings simultaneously. And yes, we do the child a disservice because society tells us that this is a disservice. But you hit the nail on the head. Well, you should come on and you can have your own show, or you can come on and be a guest because you've got some ability, my friend. And I think you've done work and you're really on a path yourself. So yes, teach and learn. Teach people. It's normal. It's natural. It's real. It's everyday process. It's everybody's gift. And I thank you for making the buzzer. Otherwise, we would have never heard from you. And yes, you are. Yeah, you're definitely one of the conscious beings on the planet, without a doubt.
Well, one thing I would ask as a question, getting to the imaginary friends, quote unquote thing. I've seen over the years different children interacting with their beings, the ones that have come to them or that have been working with them, and I see in a lot of cases that it is actually like an interactive teaching process that's going on almost. Right. And that's what it seems like to me. I was kind of wanting your take on that.
Oh, absolutely. You a child psychologist? Because I feel you do work in the realm of children. Yes, what they are doing is they're communicating with the other side, and they're getting as much information as they can. And before that veil actually does drop. So yes, they are interacting. They're learning. They're initiating work from the other side, maybe being reminded of the contract that they're here to perform in this lifetime, and why they picked these parents, or why they picked this particular time and space, coming from a non-time and space dimension to this particular time and space dimension. So yes, you're correct on that.
Do you know, Frank, I still have the person who has influenced me in a very positive way, coming from such a harsh family as mine, who came to me, and I can't say too much about him because he's in the book, but he was an adult and I was a child, and he taught me how to be a child. I wasn't allowed to do what most children do on a daily basis and comes natural to them. I was old before I was 6. So, but he's with me all the time, and if you can just imagine, he did come from Bourbon Street. I mean, we lived not too far from Blue Bayou, and then went on to the French Quarter. But he did come from that area, and he did act up around the seances, and he did his share of lots of mischief, and he hangs out with me to this day.
He's a guide. He's one of your guys. He's
Absolutely. He's my buddy, and he taught me how to play poker, and he taught me quite a few things,
And don't we all have guides, and just some of us are, I guess, too blind to realize it? Is that how
I think so. Yeah. I tend to think so. And what happens, it's like anything else. If you push somebody away enough, they go. They'll move on. They don't feel wanted. It's like any relationship.
Right.
And Doctor, I'm being asked by one of our listeners if there's a way to pre-order your upcoming book.
Not yet.
But
we can't do the spoiler, Frank. We can't do the spoiler.
But you will come back on once your book gets finished, correct?
Absolutely. I would be honored to be on your show when the book is published. I really appreciate your kindness in inviting me back on. So I will absolutely be a guest again at your discretion when you want it. When you want me on, maybe after you read the book, and then we can have a different conversation, a totally different conversation, and Jackie could also come in on this conversation.
Yes.
It's a whole different. It's almost like what we're both talking about. We really can't talk about what we really want to talk about because we have.
Well, you know how it is between contracts, and then there's agents involved, and then it's why did you say this, and why didn't you? Yeah, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
What we really touched on tonight was the cliche of the tip of the iceberg. So if we whet your interest, am I saying it correctly? If we got your attention by tonight's show, this is just a tip of what will be when the publications come out. And it's two separate books. We didn't even know we were writing two books. I'm writing a book and she's writing a book, and then one day she goes, I'm writing a book, I said, I'm writing a book, and we didn't even know we were both writing a book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you
what.
You
guys should put them together as a dual compendium, one side on the other side.
Old 33
I am so... I just want to say I am so proud of my friend and Frank Batto, who I consider my brother. I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud of your teachings and how you moved past certain obstacles to enlighten others who are in pain. And I truly believe that, everybody at one point or another picks up a recipe book even when they know how to cook. And we neglect our need for spirituality, and I don't believe in the closure part. I believe in the opening and how to see past your own tears and your fear. And I think this is a necessary tool as anybody would have in their home, a flashlight and candles for a storm. And I think any storm coming in already in the horizon, I think this book that Frank is doing, forthcoming, will definitely be an eye-opener.
Fantastic.
Most definitely, and a necessary. And my book is a little different. My book is my memoirs, and it's a tool. It's a handbook it's different. Everybody pens differently, and their experiences are differently. But I myself will have Frank's book on my nightstand.
And I want to
every night.
I would like you to contact me when you're ready, Doctor, and Jackie, you as well. Let me know when the book is done. Definitely want to have you back, and I want to put I'd love to have your book. I'd be honored to put it on the website at no cost, because everything you've said here tonight is just, I couldn't argue with any of it. And Ira, I know you've got another question, so go right ahead.
Sure. Okay, so this one is one that you guys might not be able to answer, but perhaps between the two of you guys, you can I don't know, maybe come up with something. Let's see what happens. So one thing that I'm very concerned about in the way that things are going right now, and with what we see in the state of the world right now, is the fact that so many of our children, including mine, are being diagnosed with autism, and that it is, it can be a very devastating disorder to have. I do see, though, that a lot of the children, and in fact almost all of them that I've met, do have a very deep spiritual connection to the other side, right, including my kiddo. But have you had any kind of information revealed to you guys, or any kind of thoughts on why are we seeing this being such a prevalence, besides just the fact that people are doing damage? Because everything happens for a reason, right? No matter what, there's always a reason for it. So I'd like to get your guys' take on that.
That's a very, very excellent question. As a medium who I see people on a daily basis, and I see many children. This has come up so much that it has made me sick, to the point where I don't believe in the labeling and diagnosis of all of this. I have my own strict opinions on it, and I tend to call them Star Child, because
that's so funny. I have as well.
I can communicate with these quote unquote autism children by just looking at them, and I was projecting questions towards them, and the little girl turned directly around, stared at me, and gave me the bubble gum paper that was on the floor. And I kept saying to her, to the back of her head, "Can you please turn around and give me the bubble gum paper on the floor? It does not belong on the floor. Can you please turn around?" And she stared at me for a long second, picked up the paper, and gave it to me. Then I started doing different testing with them, writing things down first on a pad, turning the pad over, or even leaving it upstairs. And we were able to communicate first simply with let's just say I would project a lemon, and then the color yellow, and then buttercups that are yellow, and flowers. And then I had this child say that the flower dropped a lemon, and I was floored. I was completely floored. I tend to believe that most of these children that are being diagnosed with this actually have a gift.
Right. I am going to agree with Jackie that it is a gift. It is a gift that is bestowed upon the parent. Your child comes in as a teacher, and more of these children are coming in to teach us lessons of unconditional love, and to let go of ourselves and what is we think is important. Your
Yeah,
place in
and that goes back to the word, as you brought up earlier, paranormal. There is a subject of paranormal activity, let's just say, but in my world, it has always been normal. So, you want to put it into a category of something that isn't normal. So we're saying that these children aren't normal, quote unquote. And what is normal? Coming from me, hello. I tend to believe that we live in a society where, they have to be so structured. They have to have so many activities. They have to have so much work put on them that we're not feeding the soul. And there's more and more of these children, people that are gifted and being called ADHD,
right?
All these labels put on them instead of the parents saying, geez, maybe there isn't anything wrong with them. Maybe they're different in a very, very good way.
Well, I will say that, like with my son, he's severely autistic, and he's just about 14 years old now. But when he, like as an example, just to go with what you guys are saying here, when he feels any emotion, he feels it. He is a raw bundle of emotional capacity. So if he is angry or upset, everything around is angry and upset. When he is happy, though, when he is joyful and when he is full of love,
everything is probably bright.
Everything is so amazingly wonderful, and there's just no denying it. It's just this energy level that he puts out is just so incredibly powerful.
Can you imagine what it takes to put out that energy? I know myself, when I walk in, I can be in a different part of the house. If I had a really awful day, whoever follows behind me, they tread very lightly, and they feel as though that there was an argument in the house.
That's how it is with me too, yeah.
Yeah, where there wasn't one. It's just that the energy level is negative because I had a negative day, and I need to get it off of me. And everything also even feels cluttered and dirty at times, where it depends what kind of energy I'm projecting. So, most likely you have a child, even though he was labeled with this autism, I'm finding that more and more children with autism have a higher gift. So I'm looking at it as it's not so much the autism as it is the gift that is out of control. It does not know how to be in control, and they don't know how to use it, and the parents aren't educated in the field of bringing this gift out.
I know with my kiddo Seth, when I look at him, I see the potential there. I see definitely that it is within him. When he dreams, his dreams almost invariably come real. Right. When he is talking or doing things, you can feel it, you can see it happening. Basically, it's really it's potent. I mean, I've thought for some time now that we look around the world and we see that there's all these negative things that are going on, and it's like there's this big push towards some kind of thing occurring at some, maybe even close date in the future. Who knows? A culmination of events, basically. But what I see, I guess it's maybe my hope or something like that, but the possibility that these kids who are here and they're able to do these things and they're here with this raw, unfocused energy and on and on, that it may actually be almost a way to clean up some of that negativity, like to counteract it, I guess you could say.
Absolutely, because like you said before, they communicate directly with the non-physical world, the spiritual world. There's no filter. I have 2 cousins that are severely autistic. In fact, one of them my daughter watches over and works with very closely, and he's severely autistic, yet he can play the piano, he can swim, he can play basketball, he can go on the iPad, beyond what we're any one of us, beyond what we're capable of doing. So
maybe Frank, it's like they're using, different parts of the brain. I mean, I went through a study like that in NYU, where they wanted to see which part of the brain I use more of, and I always had a problem with math. I mean, I looked at it differently. I didn't see it as a problem. I just saw it that it wasn't, my thing. And I believe that gifted people, it's like anything else. It's like you're given all of this, and some other things are taken away. I believe gifted people come with some sort of like little tiny bumps in the road, and that's what I call it. I don't even like to call it an issue, because I mean, things are worked around. You work around these things. Where he's given so much, maybe he had to give a little something back.
I know for me, like in my case, I'm blind, so that's part of my. I've always considered it to be the sacrifice, I guess you could say, that I've had to make over the years in relation to the different things that I've been able to do, gift wise. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jackie.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. I think when we're given a full plate, I think some of the other sides are taken off. Maybe we wouldn't be able to handle it, or maybe we wouldn't respect the gift as much.
Exactly, and look how far you've come in your own knowing. Your insightfulness. The first thing I thought of, are you a child psychologist? Your insightfulness.
He probably was in a past life, Frank. He probably was.
And you're on the right path. And you know what? Trust your knowing. And you're honored by having this gift. Your son is a gift, and you know that. And I know you had to make sacrifices so that he could attend certain schools, but these are the illusions of this reality. So what are you missing? You're missing, maybe you couldn't go to a baseball game or something, or you couldn't get this car, or you had to live in a smaller home, but that's okay, because you have the gift of unconditional love, pure unconditional love. Your child is your teacher, and you're acknowledging that he's teaching you something. And as a parent, it is your, I don't want to say the word duty, but it is your responsibility to work with this child, because he's been given to you. And when it's all said and done, and you move to the other side, you will see the blessings that have been bestowed, and you will. Your son is already. He's an angel, and when he makes his transition, he'll already be in one of the highest levels. And because you are his father and you're working with him, you will rise to a higher level when you transition to the other side, because you are doing the work now. You are courageously you are courageously taking the steps necessary to love him and to understand him, to work with him, and you're doing it in the right way. So from the other side, I'm being told that you are very blessed to have him. He is your teacher. This is something you both, I said earlier, have decided to do, and you are keeping, which is very important as a parent, you are keeping your half of the agreement. You both made the agreement. He made the agreement to come in with these gifts that we label autism, but they're not, and they're challenges, and you are stepping up to your responsibility. And in the eyes of the souls on the other side and the teachers and the guides, you are fulfilling your promise. When a child leaves this world, there are teachers, and it's up to us, the parents, to acknowledge the sacrifices they've made, and what you do with those sacrifices determines your outcome. So you're changing your life because you are acknowledging and honoring your son's courage and the path he chose to take to teach you what you needed to learn in this lifetime and what he needed to learn in this lifetime from a spiritual.
Wow.
I agree completely. He is, yeah, it was. He is just, to get it out there, he is my joy. And it is my honor. It has always been my honor to have him as my son, and I would have him no other way. So I'll let you guys go. I know we're starting to run short on time. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Michael, have a great night.
Thank you, Ira, and God bless, my friend. Always great to talk to Ira. You know, he is the most patient person on the planet. I know Ira. He actually is our station manager and program director here. Oh. And to put up with me, you've got to have patience. So he's got patience.
Oh, geez.
But hey, I want you both to get out anything that you want here. We've got about 5 minutes left. So I want to give you guys a couple minutes each to get out any information that you like. And I've really enjoyed tonight's show. So thank you both so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us, and thank you, Dr. Frank. And I always enjoy listening to you, and I have some projects coming up and that are in production with Universal, and I just want to thank everybody that has always been by my side to help me, because I couldn't have been me without them. And that goes for especially William Barrett. I love him more than anything, and Joanne. My daughter, my assistant. These are the people I came back from. Night at the Roxy, so they have to deal with me. But it's your honor this evening, Dr. Frank.
Oh, thank you. And I just want to say thank you, Jackie. And I respect and honor all of those who have come before me and their journey and their process that have taken me to this point in my life. And I also will want to thank and honor those that will come after me, that will continue the work. I am just a messenger. I am just someone who is learning from those that have come before, and I pay homage to them, and I am paying homage to those who will be coming after. And besides Jackie, who's been a great friend to me, Karen Malik from the Monroe Institute, and personally that I know her, Jeannie Callahan, another great friend and medium, Dr. Nick Fognoli, who's done some great work, actually helping me in editing because he's the Dean of Humanities and the President of the International James Joyce Society, who happens to be my next door neighbor. So go figure, how does that fly?
How is that? Right? How do you figure that? Wow.
See, I'm blessed by these people, and I am, whatever you've heard me say tonight has because is because I've listened and I've worked and I've respected those who've done the work, and I respect those who will do the work. So I am just someone who at this time and place is able to speak to you tonight. But I am not the only person that can speak about these things on this level.
Well, and it's a blessing all around, because listening to you speak, I mean, you're totally awake and you make complete sense in everything that you say. And I loved having both of you on, and I'm looking forward to doing this again in the very near future. As soon as you get that book done, I'm more than happy to have you on. And if it's going to be a while, I'll have you on before that. So, but
all right, I'm up for it. Whatever you like, Mike, it's fine with me.
All right. Well,
wow, awesome.
Well, thank you. Is there anything else you want to get out there? Websites, anything at all? Go right ahead.
Well, you know my website, JackieBarrett.com, and the house that Kay built, and also the two latest books, The Devil I Know, and also The Haunting of the Gemini. They both have world rights, so...
Right, and the only website I have is my professional website, which is Center for Dentistry, www.centerfordentistry.com. I do not have a website yet for the book because the book is not published, and I'm sure when that occurs, that will all take, all precedent, that all work together. So I'm really an unknown, as you would say, or someone in the background, or someone incognito. I'm a stealth. I slide in and out. You don't know where I'm in or where I'm out of. So, and I'm okay. In this point in my life, I'm humble. So I'm doing the work that I need to do. So when and if a website becomes available, if that's the way my higher guidance is going to take me there, then it will become something that I will share. But at this point, I'm just the regular guy, just trying to get something out there so people will know life exists on all levels forever.
Very, very good, Doctor. And we lost Jackie just at the end of what she was saying. She fell off the line here. So, but she got out her information, and I'm glad of that. And I thank you both for being guests on the show tonight. And I hope you have a great weekend. And until we speak again, stay safe. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike, for your kindness, and keep the work up. And I think all of your fans owe you a debt of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude is definitely where we are at right now.
Well, thank you, my friend, and love and blessings to you all, and have a great weekend.
All right, you too, Mike. Good night.
Right. Good night. All right, everybody. So, wow, what a show tonight. What a show. And, I noticed there's a couple things I've noticed that lately in today's America that really angers people, bothers people, is having an American flag out front of your home. That seems to get on people's nerves, and saying God bless you seems to bother people a lot. So those are two things I'm trying to do more of, is have a flag out front of the home and say God bless you a little more, because I love to irritate people. But what great guest tonight. I've had Jackie on before, but and she's great. But what a great addition the doctor is. So Dr. Frank Batto and Jackie Barrett. Jackie is a psychic medium and an author, and she's worked with the police in solving murders. And I'll tell you, it's just incredible. I mean, it's got to take a lot out of you. It's really got to wear you down. But anyways, they're both linked up on the homepage of LateNightInTheMidlands.com, right there in the picture slider. And the good doctor, he has a website, a dental website, because he is a dentist, but doesn't have a website for the book yet because it's not done. And, he says he's an unknown. Aren't those a lot of times some of the best shows are the guests who nobody's heard of? It really is. Well, you've heard of them now because this one's going across the AM, the FM, going across Dark Matter, and going across so many other networks, including our own, the L&M Radio Network. I am heading to Rochester Sunday night. I'll be there for a few solid days. And, there's a lot of people want to see me, and I'm going to do the best I can. I know I'm going to be spending a day with my father. That's mandatory. He's 84, and him and I need to have some time together. I made a promise to my mother when she passed away, and I'm going to keep it. So going to do that. But other than that, I don't know. Maybe folks email me if you're not a psychopath and you're somebody who I maybe know or trust, like a Donna and Bruce, or any Maggie, any guest, anybody like that, and you're in the area, maybe we can arrange a meetup down at the lake or something for a very short period of time. I'll do the best, but my main goal, my main focus is to see family and certainly meet up with a couple of my friends who I haven't seen in a long time. My good friend Doug and my other good friend Danny. My friend Jesse, I'd like to see them all, and we're getting older, and time's a flying. I haven't been back to Rochester in 5 years. It's a long time, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll also be spending some time with my daughter, her husband, my grandkids, so it should be a very interesting trip there. Ira will be filling in for me next week. What a blessing he's been as well. I don't like to just say, well, I'm going to do this or that. There'll be no show, or there'll be a recorded show. Anytime, if I can make it live, I'll always have it live. And with guys like Ira and Rascala, and they make it possible, as they've both filled in for me in the past. So Ira will be filling in, and I hope you all support him well and be here. I'll be listening. I may not always be in the chat room, but I'll be listening during the week, and who knows, I might even call in at some point with that. So folks, all I could say is it has been one hell of a night. I've enjoyed it. Folks, keep your eyes posted to the sky, because you never know what you might see. Keep your ears posted to this broadcast, because you never know what you might learn. And folks, please donate and subscribe. Those two things is all that keeps us going. We are listener supported. We're not asking for money to go on and take pictures with the pyramids or any of that stuff. We're not asking for that. We're asking just for enough to keep us on the air, and your help will do that. So please donate. Just because I'm gone for a week, don't forget us, because otherwise we might not be here long, and we wouldn't want that, now would we? So with that, folks, for my station manager and program director, Ira Robinson, our webmaster, Jolene, all of our chat moderators, you're as big a part of this as well, because without you, the trolls would be running rampant. So folks, have a great weekend. Have a great week. I'll be back with you Friday at the latest next Monday. So again, keep your eyes posted, keep your ears posted, and have a great night, everybody. Good night.